Do I get ignored by an AI picking website thing on this website, or do I do it directly on their website? Who knows? Why do you double care that I'm not Mexican? It's kind of weird that you made me answer that question twice. No, I'm not a veteran. 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 Where do I see myself in 5 years? Well, teetering on the brink of being alive. They said get a degree. They said go to college. They said that there'd be jobs for you out there. No. I sent 125 applications out on Indeed, and I heard back from 2, and they were automated messages telling me I didn't get the job.
I applied for a couple of retail jobs just to get, just to have some sort of income because, I don't exactly think I'm going to get a corporate job tomorrow, so I have to prepare. And I walk into the store and they're like, oh, we're actually not hiring. And I'm like, then why do you have the position on your website? I applied on Sunday. What's going on? If you're not hiring, take that shit off your page. Don't waste my fucking time.
Hey YouTube, everywhere you look online right now, people are talking about sending out hundreds of applications, getting rejected from jobs they thought they were qualified for, or never hearing back at all. So while all these TikToks play, I want to talk about why finding work suddenly feels so much harder than it used to, and why so many people are running into the exact same problem. Because this isn't really a story about people not wanting to work anymore, it's about how the hiring process has changed faster than most people realize.
We need to be more honest about the current state of this economy and the job market because not enough of us are actually sharing the truth. I'm going to tag the creator who inspired me to even share my point of view on the topic. It's Casanova Brown. So go to his page and watch his video because he shares a really honest perspective about this topic. And what he essentially was saying is that the current state of the job market is essentially manufactured. Like this whole thing around job scarcity, and so many people in the job market can't find jobs. Like they're going 6 months, 1 month, 2 years, just a really long time, longer than usual, that people are going without a job. The person that always say with a job, they ain't got one. You know what I mean? So that's where it's a problem. And based on what I can see, I can tell you a few things, and I think I'm going to give you 3 main points. And the first one's going to be this: I agree with the job scarcity is manufactured. And the reason why is because I believe that, and this is my opinion only, I believe that there is a force that a lot of these organizations, corporations are forcing people into the job market, creating less full-time positions, but creating more contract work. And the reason why is because full-time employees are expensive. So working for a US-based employer and you are a US-based worker, you have to understand, right? Inflation is crazy right now, and it has been for a while. So that means it's going to cost more. We're going to ask for more. We're going to request more. And in good faith, an organization has to at least give you a merit increase like every year, right? So when you forego hiring full-time employees and you move into a contract type situation, that's less that they have to pay in benefits. That's less liability for them as well, because there are certain laws, labor laws, like that they don't have to necessarily worry about. And so I think that they're essentially just forcing many of us into a situation where, you know what? Yeah, we're going to create this manufactured job scarcity so that you don't find a full-time role and you have to go back into the workforce as a contractor so that way we can get the same work for less. Now, the second thing that I will say, and what I'm noticing, is that a lot of organizations, this users only really see this in customer service based type of organizations or departments, right? You have BPOs. This means that organizations are outsourcing the work. So when you call AT&T, T-Mobile, whoever on the phone, you get somebody who may be overseas, right? This doesn't mean that they can't do the job just as well as someone who is based in the US. But what it means is, again, instead of hiring 10 full-time employees for their contact center, they're hiring 50 for half the price of those 10. Okay, so they can hire a little 20, 100 contract workers for $2,000 overseas. In the US, that's 200,000, right? So they're looking at it from the perspective of, we still need labor. So don't be fooled. These companies are still hiring. right? They're just not hiring they're not hiring full-time employees, they're hiring contractors. And the same, like the rules that would apply to hiring a full-time employee don't apply to a contract worker. That's my 2 cents. And I'm hoping that eventually this is something that we can sound the alarm on, because if they're not hiring us, like, what do we do? What do we do?
Applying the jobs used to take effort, which naturally limited how many applicants companies received. Now you can apply to dozens of positions before lunch with a few clicks. That sounds convenient until you realize all employers are dealing with thousands of applications for one single opening. Most companies rely on applicant tracking systems to sort through the resumes before a recruiter even looks at them. If your resume doesn't match certain keywords or formatting standards, you might get filtered out instantly. A lot of people assume they're being rejected by hiring managers when in reality they never made it past the software. At the same time, companies sometimes leave listings online after roles are filled, collect resumes for future openings, or past jobs they aren't urgently hiring for. From the outside, it creates the impression that opportunities are everywhere. For job seekers, though, it feels like shouting into the void. The internet made applying easier, but it also made it harder to stand out. The result is a hiring process that looks efficient on paper while leaving people confused about why nothing seems to work.
Job market is trash. It's trash. It's been, for me, it will be almost a year in July. I keep revamping the resumes, making connections, talking to people. And I tell you, sometimes it has me like, maybe it's just you. Maybe you just suck. Then I remember, no, no, it's not me. It's the system. I stand by that. I stand by that. What we're looking at right now is another change. I feel like what we're watching is another change in what it is to just exist. What quality of life is going to look like as we move forward in America, because the whole structure, everything has changed. And I know for me, honestly, I'm going to tell you honestly, I feel like I'm looking for a job so I can have some fake sense of safety. That's how I feel like. I feel like I'm looking for a job to have some fake sense of safety, because we all know a job ain't safe. At any moment when they want to get rid of you, they just gonna get rid of you. Ain't really nothing you could do about that. It is what it is, right? That's a part of the game, right? And I feel like I've been looking for a job because to me, a job says safety, even if it's just a little bit of safety, right? But it ain't safe at all. And many times I feel like the universe is like, you want to go the safe route. We're not even going to allow that shit. There's another path that you can take, and you're going to take that path, whether you want to take it or not. It's by hook or by crook, but you're going to take it. That's what I'm feeling like has been happening for my life for the last couple of months, specifically. Like, no matter what it is that I want to do, no matter what it is that the path that I want to take, the universe is saying, we got a direction for you that you need to go in, that you've been resistant on doing for a long time. And that's it. We done playing with you. You're going to do it. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to lean all in on me, because this system that we've had up until this point, I thought I had some safety in it, and it was never any safety in it. It was just a place for me to hide from the very things and the very life that I've always wanted anyway. So no more hiding. Time to make that shit happen.
One of the strangest things about today's job market is how many entry-level jobs don't actually feel entry-level anymore. You'll see positions asking for 2 to 3 years of experience, specialized software skills, certifications, and a degree, all for the role that's supposed to help people get started. Companies have become more focused on hiring people who can contribute immediately instead of training someone over time. After years of layoffs and economic uncertainty, businesses want to reduce risk whenever they can. That shifts the burden onto applicants. Internships, side projects, volunteer work, networking, and personal portfolios used to help people stand out. Now they often feel like basic requirements. A lot of younger workers follow the advice they were given, earn degrees, build resumes, and still discover that the first opportunity is the hardest part. The old formula of school first and experience later doesn't work as smoothly anymore. People aren't struggling because they lack motivation, they're struggling because employers increasingly expect more experience before they're willing to provide it.
I've always wondered why entry-level jobs require like 3 to 5 years experience when it's entry-level. right? Because a job that is entry level, you are entering. So the expectation should be that you don't have any experience and that you're going to be trained and you will learn on the job. So when I would go on LinkedIn and I would see all these jobs like, 2 years of experience, 3 years, 5 years of experience for an entry level role, that never made sense to me. Because by the time someone has this many years of experience, they're not entry level anymore. They're not junior talent. At that point, they're mid-level, they're senior, right? So it seems like a lot of companies are trying to hire mid-level, senior level talent on a junior level salary. So basically they're trying to get senior level people for a bargain. A couple days ago, I was watching this YouTube video. I cannot remember the name of the creator, but I will probably link the video in the comments. And she was explaining why entry-level jobs require all this experience and why they feel so hard to get now. To summarize what she talked about, now we're in a time where people do not stay at the same job for 10, 20, 30 years. I mean, heck, people don't even stay at the same job for 5 years, right? For the most part, people are landing a new job every 2 years because you're just not going to increase your salary in the same way if you stay at your current job and try and get a raise. Even if you do get a raise, it's not going to be a whole lot compared to what you would get if you would just find another job elsewhere. In a nutshell, the reason why you'll see a lot of companies ask for 3 to 5 years of experience for an entry-level job is because they do not want the responsibility of training new talent. For them, it doesn't make sense to invest in training new people if they're just going to leave the company after a year or two, because then you've just lost all the investment that you made in that person, and now you have to train a new person. For these companies, it makes a lot more sense for them to train you up if you were to stay at the same company for like decades, right? Which is what people used to do. And that's why they package the 9 to 5 with all these different things like security, stability. They marketed the 9 to 5 with so many additional things to incentivize people to stay loyal, right? But now people are realizing that there's really no benefit to staying loyal. So now a lot of companies are like, well, if you want to leave after 2 years, that's fine. But for us to hire you, you're going to need to come with all this experience. You're going to come with such and such degree, because they don't want to take on the risk of investing in someone and then that person just leaves. So they'll tell you that you need XYZ degree to get XYZ job. So you go and get the degree, you go into debt for the degree, then you get the job, right? And that is if you get the job, right? Given the current market that we're in. Then you get the job and you're like, hold on, this is what I needed a whole master's degree for? The kind of work you're doing isn't lining up with the level of education. So now you're in a whole bunch of debt. You haven't seen the ROI from the degrees that everyone told you needed to get. And it's no one else's problem but yours. You know, we're in an employer's market now. So these companies really have their pick of the litter when it comes to talent and who they hire. Just because you have a master's degree doesn't mean you're going to outcompete everyone else. One of the videos I went kind of viral for a while ago, I was telling people that they don't need to go back to school, and some folks were trying to fight with me in the comments. Getting a master's degree to get an entry-level job just doesn't make sense to me, because by the time you have a whole graduate degree, you should be able to land something higher than an entry-level job. That doesn't make sense. Honestly, unless you're trying to become a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, that you will need a degree. But for all the other career paths out there, really think really hard about whether going back to school is the right move for you. A lot of you are going back to school because you don't know what else you want to do. You don't want to actually sit down and be an adult and figure out what you want to do with your life. So you would rather just delay the inevitable and go back to school. Because as long as you're in school, as long as you're a student, you don't have to figure out what you're doing with your life. You can just say, oh, I'm in school. But then the thing is, you're going to graduate, and then you're still going to be stuck with the same problem. And you'll have an extra degree that you're not using. You'll have an extra degree, and you're still struggling in the job market. We see a lot of people like that today. They've got master's degrees, struggling to even just get an entry-level job. I really need people to just stop thinking that getting more degrees is going to increase your chances of landing a better job or advancing your career. You'll see all these jobs that say, oh, degree required, degree required, degree required. But then the actual job itself is not aligned with that level of education. And I think it's really important to have this conversation because we can't change the system that we're in, okay? Things are the way that they are, and we don't have any control over that. But we can control how we navigate the system. We can control the decisions that we make. And you first need to understand the system and how it works so that you can make decisions that are advantageous to you.
People hear that the economy is doing well while sending out application after application with nothing to show for it. That disconnect makes it difficult to know what you're doing wrong, if anything at all. Are you underqualified, competing against thousands of other people, or applying to jobs that were never actually hiring in the first place? Most applicants never get enough feedback to figure that out. Older advice like walking into a business and asking for a manager doesn't really match how hiring works for a lot of industries today. Everything happens online, which means every rejection feels more impersonal. After enough unanswered applications, people start questioning their skills, their education, and even their career paths that they chose. Some delay moving out, postpone big life decisions, or settle for jobs they never plan on taking just to have a stable income. Other people stop applying entirely because the process feels impossible to navigate. People can handle competition and hard work. What's much harder to deal with is a system where the rules keep changing and nobody explains how the game is actually played.